This week on Dance of Joy, it's our season break special. We talk about our favorite season 6 episodes of Perfect Strangers and review Bronson Pinchot's 1989 comedy Second Sight. Hello and welcome to Dance of Joy, a Perfect Strangers rewatch podcast. My name, of course, is Imran. I'm one of your hosts. Joining me, as always, my sister, Sophia. How you doing?
I'm good. Why is it, of course, your name is Imran?
I don't know if you've been listening to the show this whole time.
Your name is just Imran, not of course.
No, I'm legally changing my name to, of course, Imran. With an exclamation mark at the end. It's all part of the name. Please use my legal name.
You have to do it with exclamation.
Of course, Imran.
Of course,
hey,
Imran.
Yes, of course, Imran. Wouldn't that be great? I might do that.
People will be like, excuse me, Mr. Of course, Imran. I'm sorry. It's pronounced, of course, Imran.
Yes. Anyways, look, we took a little break. I hope everybody had a good holiday season 2023. Happy 2024. It is a new year. It's really cold. Sister, how's the COVID?
The COVID, yeah, I hope you had better holiday season than I did. I had some COVID. I got over it. It's fine. Workouts are still a bit challenging.
Well, I'm glad you're feeling better.
Otherwise,
people gave you well wishes. And that's kind of like we took a break because we got to the end of season 6.
We did.
Okay. And then the holidays were upon us.
Yes.
And then you got the COVID. And then really the universe wanted to double down on all of this and decided to remove Perfect Strangers from Amazon Freebie.
Get out of the city!
Yes, if you heard us every episode, we're like, binge along. All episodes free on Amazon Freebie. Unfortunately, it's not. You can still watch the episodes. You can pay per episode on Amazon or buy the season, which is what we're going to have to do.
This little podcast of ours is getting expensive.
The irony that I'm buying season 7 of this show is not lost on me. Trust me. That's not the season I would purchase.
It's not worth buying.
If you were to force me to purchase seasons of Perfect Strangers, it probably wouldn't be season 7.
2, 3, 4, and 5.
Yes, and 5. It may be even 6. We'll get to that.
Half of 6.
Anyways, but you know what's funny? When we started this show back in 2020.
Oh my God, it's been 3 years.
It was October 2020. The show was on Hulu.
Yeah.
And we suffered a similar tiny setback. Hulu, it was off Hulu.
That one was not for long.
No. After a couple of weeks.
We took a little break, and then it showed up again
on Amazon Freebie. So we took a break hoping that the show would show up somewhere else. It hasn't.
It has not yet.
That we know of. There's still time.
But if everyone puts that energy out into the universe, we can manifest it somewhere. So if you're listening to
Amazon your displeasure.
Just think about how you want
by not
Perfect
choosing
Strangers
the free shipping
show
option
up for free somewhere
on your next purchase.
Yeah, stop giving that man more money.
So look, here's the thing. It's the nature of these kind of streaming shows and catalogs and licenses, and they bounce around.
Means we're not going fast enough.
That's true. You should have done this.
It's a message from the universe, because if we had stayed on our schedule, we would have been done by now.
2024, listener, will be the year we are finishing season 7
we
and
must.
the short season 8.
And lesson to us, now we have to pay for it because we took too long.
Look, it's our punishment, and we'll take it. So that's what happens. That's where we are. We're currently in the showtime. We are in the summer of 1991 still, I believe.
Correct.
In season 6. So speaking of season 6,
yes,
we do have, you might have seen the title. We do have something special planned. We are going to review a Bronson Pinchot movie from 1989, Second Sight. So this is a few years before we are currently.
Yeah,
because it's like it's a Bronson Pinchot movie
and he's like starring.
He's starring, and it made while the show was hot, right?
Yeah.
We figured there's some relevance here
at the peak of Bronson. Yeah, Bronson.
Listener Matt Krass may have subtly suggested we watch this movie. We'll get to that, Matt. But before that, let's quickly. You want to recap some of season 6, some highlights?
Yeah,
because while the show, let's face it, has shifted. Quality maybe
but there were some
gems.
So
what can you think of that were some gems?
There was a horse.
There was a whole horse in the apartment,
and
lying
the apartment
down.
Suddenly got big enough to accommodate a horse.
A horse was
and
lying
the sofa
down.
got big enough to
Oh yeah, and then they had a special sofa for the horse.
For the
horse.
horse
Was sitting on the sofa
and lying down.
It was amazing.
In front of it. The apartment grew massively. There
Yeah.
was a horse. There was a two-parter, as we have every season.
I rather enjoyed this two-parter. It was all filmed on location
in California,
in Los Angeles,
The
and it was
Men Who Knew Too Much.
it was kind of like an 80s action
It's
movie.
like a mafia. Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of the movie we watched a little bit. But
A lot of on-site running around.
yes, and convulsing and
LA
shootouts
with
and car
a
chases.
camcorder and a VCR.
That was wild. We had them try to shoehorn a young child into the show. Was that this season with the girl?
Was that this season?
I believe, isn't that New Kid on the Block episode?
Yes.
And
Yes,
that didn't
she
work.
never showed up again, although
Tess.
there were
Remember Tess?
instances that we knew that certain that she did actually show up, but those scenes were deleted from other episodes.
They were cut.
Correct.
Yeah, she was supposed to be on his back
Correct.
in that one where they're going camping or whatever, and
Yeah.
his backpack. But that's interesting that they were. I don't know if they were desperate. They're running ideas.
Yeah.
You had some recycled.
We also
plot
had,
lines.
the first recycled premise in this season was Little Apartment of Horrors. The recycled premise being that somebody has a cold or it's cold season and Balky has a
Yet another Meposian
cure
remedy.
And Larry scoffs at it at first.
but of course
then
it works that he wants to
works too well,
capitalize
et
and monetize on
so
it.
they did
screws it
this
up.
in season 1 or 2, I believe, with a different Meposian cure, but the premise was the same and the scoffing was there. And you're like, Larry, don't you remember? You already learned to trust Meposian cold remedies.
Larry hasn't remembered a thing. We had
we had one of our classic favorites,
which was what?
Which was when Larry gets amnesia.
Oh yes.
Hello, my name is
Larry.
Cousin Larry Appleton. How are you? Fine.
That was great. Okay, that was great. That was actually one of the episodes that
one of the ones that struck
jumped
your
back in your memory. And you're like,
childhood
hello. I'm
memories.
like, I remember this.
Yes.
We did have the hilarious premise where Balky thought Marianne was trying to kill everybody.
That was pretty good.
That was pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Black Widow. A lot about the relationship between Larry and Jennifer.
More than we've seen before,
yes.
correct.
He gets a ring. They set a wedding date by the end of the season.
Yeah.
So there's some progress.
And we find out Jennifer's like lusty dreams about Larry in a firefighter's outfit.
Yes, we find out her fantasy.
So she does have some emotions and feelings for him.
There's some like highs and lows. Like I really did love when they did the Honeymooners, and I saw this on TV.
Yes.
Really heartfelt tribute, to an iconic TV show. But then on the other side, we have Balky B, which I know is many people's favorite
Balky
thing.
B.
But wow, was that cringy and out of sync?
Yeah.
The Balky B rapping.
Yes.
So this season, all over the place.
All over the place. We had that billboard episode.
Yeah, that was kind of fun. I mean, that was fun.
And we'll remind you of this again when we start season 7. But the last episode of season 6 was also on the relationship, and it was about setting a wedding date.
Yeah, they picked the wedding date, and it's September of 1991.
Yeah,
which is where we will pick up.
Yes.
I guess
when we yeah.
There's still a couple of things to get through about Larry's bachelor party.
Yes,
and
yes.
stuff. Any other? So season 6 still. There's some good things.
I would
it's
say like a handful of winners, a few at least one that like that we remembered from
Yes, hello.
Yes, at least one of those. We'll see if that comes back in season 7. But everyone knows that season 7 and 8 were like sort of the decline of this show.
Yeah, so, and they're going to move locations where they live, and now I have to pay for this, but we're going to get through it.
There's going to be more recycled premises, at least one more.
But I need to see how this ends now. We've gone this far.
We got this far. We got to finish
There
it.
is still a 2-parter coming up, season 7 and season 8. So, season 6 still had some gems. Well, not a complete downward.
But we're gonna all have to band together and remain strong as we make our way through season 7.
It's gonna be rough, and I'm still gonna be posting threads on our Facebook page, listener. If you haven't joined, there's a link in the description. Join our Facebook page. I have the first 4 episodes of season 7 posted. Now you got to pay it, or like if you search for things, there are ways you can
If you're savvy
watch without. I'm not condoning it. I'm not giving you any links. Just I did a little bit of work there on the Googles on the internets. But maybe you remember the episodes. Maybe you will watch along. We're going to keep going.
Maybe our retelling is the only way you can enjoy this show.
Maybe if Amazon sees people suddenly buying season 7 of Perfect Strangers, they're like, "Oh, wait a minute, we should put this." No, that would be that'd be counterintuitive.
They've already bought it.
It'd be like, wait, why would we put this up for free?
We're just going to have to be better in have more reenactments so that people can just watch it vicariously through.
Maybe look, you make me pay. Maybe I use more audio clips from the show, or we have more reenactments. It's going to be even more important, the play-by-play moving forward as we continue the show. Okay, so season 6, fun times. Let's move on. What we're going to do now is do a quick review of Second Sight. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen this movie from 1989, currently on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, this movie came out a long time ago before Rotten Tomatoes. On the tomato meter here, I'll give you the numbers. There's only 6 critic reviews.
Okay,
it's at 0% tomato meter.
Oh, boy, tomato meter.
The audience rating, 30%. Okay? 500 post ratings in the audience. But this is a 0 on the tomato meter. This movie that came out in 1989 was a critical and commercial failure, only making about $5.3 million in the domestic box office. I couldn't find a budget, but I don't think they spent a lot. I don't think they spent a lot of money on this movie. So here's where everything ties into Perfect Strangers. Of course, the movie is directed by Joel Zwick.
Joel Zwick,
who
we know that name.
So when this movie came out, it was just before that episode Poetry in Motion. It was around that time, 1989. So what season is that? It's a few seasons ago.
Yeah.
Right? And Joel Zwick had been directing every episode of Perfect Strangers up until that point. He gets a movie. The movie is it's scripted by Patricia Resnick and Tom Schulman. Now, Patricia Resnick co-wrote on the movie 9 to 5. Okay. Tom Schulman won an Oscar he wrote Dead Poets Society.
Oh, this must be very good.
He also wrote the screenplay for Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and What About Bob?
Excellent films, all of those.
Okay, right? Yes. And Tom Schulman wrote Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Dead Poets Society, and this movie Second Sight, all in 1989.
Amazing.
All around the same time.
3 movies in 1 year.
And now those are some good movies. What About Bob's hilarious. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, lots of fun. Dead Poets Society, I mean, come on. The guy won.
Classic.
The guy won an Oscar.
Oh, Captain, my Captain.
This movie stars Bronson Pinchot, of course, as a psychic named Bobby McGee. Yes, the Janis Joplin song, Bobby McGee, co-led by John Larroquette as a detective named Wills, Private Eye. This is also John Larroquette at the time. I believe Night Court is on, and he's huge.
Crime, yeah.
And what's funny is Night Court is back on. John Larroquette is back on as Dan Fielding now in 2024. Also starring Bess Armstrong as Sister Elizabeth.
Bess Armstrong,
where do we know her from?
We recognize.
I know that. She looks like Frances McDormand. She is not.
No, but she is, in fact, she played the mom on My So-Called Life.
With Claire Danes and
which
the
everyone of our generation remembers well. Excellent show for only 1 season. Sadly, was canceled, but it was brilliant.
And I was like, that's where she's from. I remember her. And also Stuart Pankin as Preston. Stuart Pankin also made a couple appearances on Night Court as a side cameo character. And you got a couple other people. You don't really need to know who the rest. This is the main cast.
That guy reminded me of like Newman from Seinfeld.
Oh, yeah. He's very like that side character.
Newman-y, yeah.
So that's your cast and crew.
Well, what's the movie about?
Sister, this is what I was going to ask you.
Because it must be very well written because
Give us a quick plot synopsis. We just watched this movie, mind you. Also, it's PG and it's 85 minutes. It couldn't even bother to be a full 90 minutes. This is an 85-minute movie. What's the movie about?
Okay, so you'd think it would be a fantastic film with writers with such accolades.
And you got Bronson Pinchot, you got John Larroquette.
The movie, I don't know what it was about, if I'm being honest, but I'll try. First of all, those 85 minutes felt like 3 hours.
It did feel a lot longer than 85 minutes. But what's the movie about?
The movie is about a detective agency called Second Sight Detective Agency, and it's these three gentlemen. The main character, played by Bronson Pinchot, who is some kind of like psychic empath combination. Like somehow his brain is firing in much different ways, and we find out very late in the movie. There's like no backstory or like explanation provided at all. We're waiting for it. Very late in the movie, there's one throwaway reference that his power started after he was struck by lightning.
Of course they did.
And then the other guy is Detective Wills, played by John Larroquette. And his role seems to be just to like lead the agency in the cases they take.
He's a smart mouth, no nonsense kind
like
of
a mover,
jerk.
shaker, schmoozer
Yes,
kind of
very
guy.
condescending.
Just looking for big money, big payouts.
He is exactly the character on Night Court, Dan Fielding.
Yeah,
It's the same character.
And then the third guy is this Newman guy, Preston, who is kind of like the handler of the psychic, who is Bronson Pinchot, of Bobby McGee, and he's like the scientist who studies him, and he's always like taking notes and taking pictures of what he's doing, and
he understands Bobby, and he's kind of like
what's going on,
kind of like the intermediary, and Bobby
from an academic point of view,
Bronson has long flowing hair in this, and Bobby can get channel dead people.
But what's the story of the film?
So the story is these private investigators started up in a sewer cover for some reason.
Oh, yeah, there's this teaser before the title that has nothing to do with the rest of the movie.
They're in this giant manhole cover and they pop out.
It doesn't explain anything.
So these three get approached by this woman and a nun because somebody crashed into her car and caused damage, and she
why is the woman and the nun together?
Unclear. And so it gets them investigating this crash, which leads to the cardinal and this other lady being kidnapped by thugs because of political
in a fish
church reasons. And they have to, there's no, for the large portion of the movie, you're like, what is going on?
Seriously, the whole movie, we were like, what is
I don't understand
what's happening?
What is it? They jump to things. A large portion of the movie has Bronson Pinchot convulsing and speaking in tongues and channeling this dead guy, Murray.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Murray is his like alter ego.
Who's like his spirit guy that helps him in these investigations.
And Murray has more of a backstory than Bobby McGee does. We know a lot more about Murray's backstory, but not Bobby McGee and how he turned out that way and how this agency started. We know nothing.
What's funny is you kept asking during the movie, did they create him in a lab?
Yeah, it seemed like he was like a Frankenstein's monster or something, and they were studying it because the way that Preston was talking about him and explaining everything and his behavior sounded like that.
It's like he made him instead of studying him or something.
I was like, did I miss something? Yeah. Where's the lab scene?
Also, they don't really explain this kidnapping also until way deep into the movie, and it happens just suddenly. They jump to scenes of bad guys talking, and you're like, what is happening?
There's a lot of car chases.
There's a lot of car chases. Bronson Pinchot's on the hood of a car at one point.
No.
John Larroquette.
John
Larroquette is on the hood. Eddie's on the roof.
And literally at one point in the movie, there's like some like small part character who says, "What is going on here?" And I was like, "Yeah, exactly. What?"
That's the chief of police is Principal Strickland from Back to the Future.
Oh,
I knew that guy. But Bronson Pinchot gets to do a lot of
But the main story is that he's trying. They have to somehow save this cardinal, as in like Pope.
And that doesn't happen until way later.
From these thugs.
There's like this nun and this weird...
And then the nun falls in love with the detective.
With Wills.
But we know nothing about that until they kiss.
But Murray was the nun's
Murray's
girlfriend. So it's a love triangle between a dead guy, the detective, and a nun.
Hold on, back up. Like I was saying.
Yes. What's Murray's deal?
We never find out any backstory about the agency or Bobby McGee, but we do find out that Murray... is dead. He's like a spirit from beyond that inhabits Bronson Pinchot's character every now and then. And how he died was that his girlfriend sent him out for ice cream.
Yes, rum raisin ice cream.
He got hit by a
So he blamed,
Truck or
and for some
something.
reason Murray blames the girlfriend for killing him.
Right, because she was nagging him to go get
But
ice
it's not
cream.
like I thought he meant that she caused the accident, but no, it's
And then
unclear.
fast forward, so we hear that about him, but then fast forward when they meet this nun and they're explaining the psychic's behavior and they're like, yeah, and he communicates through this, what do they call him? Like, whatever, through this other sage. His name's Murray, and she's like, Murray?
Yeah.
Murray, and then we find out that this nun was Murray's girlfriend before she was a nun.
Yeah, it all connects, and there's a couple of crazy twists. There's a lot of
And
scenes.
there's a lot of like laser effects.
Oh, so also what doesn't make sense is Bobby has like powers, like superhero powers, and there's really bad visual effects where he zaps people. He zaps John Larroquette, causing him to go to the hospital.
He got struck by lightning.
The lights go on and really bad drawn visual effects. And at one point, I believe he took down a whole building. I think that's what happened.
They made a whole building disappear.
I did. Didn't make any. Nothing in this movie makes sense.
And they were like, yeah.
The longer you wait for it to make sense, the longer you wait for nothing to make sense. They're in restaurants a lot. There's a lot of scenes in diners. There's a scene in a Chinese restaurant. I feel like the large part of this movie felt like it wanted to be Ghostbusters, but just couldn't be that good. Like that scene where he's got that thing on his head and they're testing on him was a lot like when Rick Moranis has that thing on his head in Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
It's like they wanted to be Ghostbusters.
The whole movie felt like just an 85-minute vehicle for Bronson Pinchot to like do weird things with his body.
Convulse and talk in a funny voice and do impersonations.
But there was like no cohesion.
The shameful thing is like John Larroquette kind of is the lead in this movie, and he kind of almost steals the movie. Does he steal the movie? Wait, like
maybe
Bobby's shenanigans don't really amount to much. I mean, did you chuckle at any point? I think the funniest part of the movie is when he is asleep and Wills is watching TV, and in his dream he ends up changing the channel, and then Preston's wife comes and they have a remote channel fight as John Larroquette is moving Bronson Pinchot's body like an antenna to the point.
Yeah, that part was funny.
He has
I did
his
laugh.
legs up and his crotch in his face and he's upside down. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
I did laugh
ridiculous.
at that, but not much. I mean, I was chuckling, but most of the movie I was like, what is going on?
A lot of the movie is just that you're not sure exactly what's going on.
But let's talk about, I am like amazed that we have these writers who in the same year that he wrote this movie also wrote Dead Poets Society, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
So this, I believe this was supposed to come out earlier, and this was production was interrupted because of the writer's strike of 1988. Similar to how this year, a lot of stuff got pushed to next year because of this.
Does that mean we're going to get a lot of crappy movies next year?
Yeah, well, we either unfinished or everything's been delayed, to just not come out this year. But I don't know what they did back then, and there's just there is some fun Easter eggs.
There is.
That TV scene I was telling you about.
Yeah.
As the channels are switching, one at a time, it lands on Perfect Strangers.
Perfect Strangers.
They're watching the snow episode where the avalanche where they go skiing. I was like, oh my God, like that.
It would have been great if they also had a night court scene.
They did not have a night court scene. They're watching Three Stooges and they watch, and it switches to Perfect, and you hear Larry go, Balky. There's also a picture of Shirley MacLaine inside his room. She was also big into like psychics actor. So, but yeah, I'm not sure.
So that the fact that this guy
Tom Shulman
won an Oscar.
Yeah, same year.
And wrote Dead Poets Society and Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and this movie in the same year just goes to show you like what they say to artists is true. Like you just keep producing. Some will be winners. Not all of them
not
will.
all gotta be winners.
And so, but it's just amazing. He did all these three in the same year. And like, I would love to like find him and interview him and be like, what did you feel about this? Was he just like, man, it doesn't matter. I won an Oscar for this other movie.
How did this happen?
Or like like, did you write this? Was this like a joke or did you write it as like a bet? Or I don't know, like, was this an experiment? Was it not meant to be made? What happened? What's the story behind this movie?
And it's funny because I usually can dig up backstories and like 10 things you didn't know about, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
You know how there's none of that for this movie.
There's not even a synopsis
You know
of this
how,
movie anyway.
If you look up a movie on Wikipedia, usually somebody has taken the time to write down the plot in a couple of paragraphs. Not for this movie. There is no plot synopsis. I don't think Roger Ebert reviewed this movie or bothered to look at it.
There's even nothing on Reddit at all.
No. His powers don't make no sense. They're inconsistent. This love triangle, like they're chasing bad guys, and she kisses John Larroquette in the middle of this shootout chase. They're in a strip club at one point. At the end, Bobby just asked the girl if she would sleep with him, and the girl says yes. Like there's some crazy like adult things in this peachy movie. But it was 1989.
There's not even a synopsis. My first thought, like after I finished watching it, I was like, I need to read a summary of this movie.
No.
And you were like, there is none.
No.
And I was like,
so
what?
let's just look at the climax of the movie is wild and ridiculous and makes no sense.
They're like in a plane.
So Murray has told Bobby that they're moving the Cardinal to Pittsburgh. And the next thing you know, the three of them, Preston,
the Cardinal
the nun,
got kidnapped.
The Cardinal got kidnapped. You're looking for Preston, the nun, and him are on a plane going to Pittsburgh. Meanwhile, Wills is actually, he's found the car and he's found the building where they are. They're not going anywhere. And then
how did he find it without Bobby?
I don't know. He just shows up. He finds the car. He's driving around and he just finds them. And then suddenly Bobby's like, oh, Wills is in trouble. We need to help him. So instead of stopping the plane and getting off and finding a cab or a car or some means of transportation,
they drive the plane through Boston.
He takes over the plane with his psychic abilities and turns it.
Oh, and then we have a quick cut to the pilot and co-pilot who are like passed out. He did something to them.
Well, before that, he's standing in the middle of the aisle and there's like really bad swirls drawn around the plane and he moves it down the highways of Boston. And then it's approaching a tunnel. And like, this is a crazy stunt. I don't even know how much they paid for this plane to do this. He drives the plane through the tunnel. The wings shear off. Bobby is now in the cockpit seat. And the pilot and co-pilot passed. Did he do something to him? I don't know.
Passed out.
He drives this plane fuselage.
And the nun's in there like praying over the pilot.
Yes, with no wheels. It drags into like the Boston ghetto or wherever they were to find him and save. It's ridiculous. And
just
the cops
drives through the streets on no wheels, but the plane just goes.
And then he stops a bullet in midair. There's a lot of him like directing moving cars, changing cars. Yeah. But this is
I feel like if you're still listening to us,
movie.
Thank you very much.
No
because
sense.
We're talking about nothing because we can't summarize this movie.
Let me ask you this. If you were like 10 years old and you watched this in 1989, 8, 9, would you find this entertaining?
I probably would just for all the like physical comedy, but if you had asked me after what it's about, I wouldn't be able to tell you certainly, but I probably would like remember some of the like the antenna thing with the body and like some of the funnier
that's kind of the
visuals.
Stuff and him like just convulsing.
And like the plane through the streets, I'd probably be like, yeah, that was cool. And there were lasers and stuff. But and the convulsing, but I wouldn't be able to tell you like what it was about.
So that's where Matt Grass...
maybe I would. Maybe it makes more sense to children.
I don't think so. There's just no through line.
Are we just
That's
dumb?
where Matt Grass comes in, because when we did the episode, the duck soup, where Balky's convulsing because he hates ducks.
Right.
Matt wrote in saying, the possessed body trembling thing Balky did when ducks were mentioned was hilarious. And by the way, Bronson Pinchot also did something like it in the Often Panned movie.
What does Often Panned mean?
I mean, nobody likes it. Panned means it's not good. Often Panned movie.
Okay.
But he says, I still recommend it if anyone hasn't seen it.
Why, Matt Grass? Tell us more.
Why I got the idea to do this, and it was an interesting experience, to say the
Matt
least.
Grass, tell us more about why
I feel
you
like
still
maybe
recommend
if I watched this when I was a kid, or if it was 1989 at the time, and you were into Perfect Strangers, it would have been like, oh my God, to see Bronson on the big screen. But nobody saw this movie in the theater or afterwards. So it's just, yeah.
That's it.
That's about it. Rate this movie. If you had to give this a rating out of 10, what would you give this movie? There's jokes about goobers. 3.5.
Goobers.
I think that's about right.
I think I would do a 3.
I think I would also give this movie
4,
a 3.5.
I was thinking about 4 first, but 4 feels a little too high for this.
This is a bad movie, people. This is what we're getting at. It's not the best, but I mean,
But we'll watch anything with Bronson in it.
And I think the other big scene is when John Larroquette is on the hood of the car and Aretha Franklin's "Freeway of Love" is playing. It's not on the radio. I don't know if he turned it on. And he's psychically steering the car and dancing with his hair blowing. We're riding on a freeway. I feel like that was like the big trailer moment. That's like the big. I don't know. There are shootouts in this movie. The bad guys can't aim. They don't hit nothing, even though they're right there. Yeah.
There was a lot of shooting and nobody got hit at all.
Yes, nobody got hit.
Church scenes. In the end, they save the
bishops and cardinals and political intrigue in the church.
I guess they say, and the bad guys get arrested in the end.
Because the bishop was trying to do it, right?
No, because there was like a news scene in the beginning about the Pope. It was 1989.
The Pope had died, and someone is in line.
And then the newscaster was speculating whether the United States will claim the next Pope.
It might have been
this
Cardinal
was the
O'Hara.
Cardinal that would have been in the running
the
for
bishop.
Is that a real thing that happened?
What, the Pope died?
No, I mean and there was an American cardinal.
So the bishop who got looked over for cardinal wanted to take him out so that he could possibly be next in line to be in running for the Pope. Is that what happened?
Something like that. Yeah, there was something about that they were hinting at.
A lot of it is unclear. You do have a scene of Bronson Pinchot in his underwear running on pews in a church. That's something.
We had to watch it because it's the only film, right, that Bronson Pinchot has.
That's the thing. I feel like this was supposed to be a vehicle for him, and maybe the thing is he went on to do a lot of smaller roles, a lot of TV,
plays,
and I will tell you, my favorite role he's still ever done is in True Romance. Yep.
That's also the only one where he
Elliot Blitzer
plays like a normal character, not like
he's like a cokehead in it. He's like an actor in a Hollywood
like
type,
someone with a voice or behavior or physicality or whatever. But
Surge in Beverly Hills Cop is before, and then he shows up again in Beverly Hills Cop 3, and there's more. We'll get to that.
True Romance.
But Elliot Blitzer in True Romance is such a great role. He's great. I mean,
small though, but
it's small, but and he's been he's recently on our Flag Means Death. He did one episode and a couple other things.
Oh,
he's doing
really?
TV like NCIS Hawaii.
We should review that one.
Yeah. Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. He's with a couple episodes. A lot of TV appearances. But as far as movies,
he's big on Instagram these days too, or TikTok or whatever. Yeah, posting a lot.
But if this had actually been good and did well, they could have
broke into.
They could, it could have been like a whole Second Sight franchise or whatever. I just think you take John Larroquette and
franchise. Yeah,
Larroquette's funny, but he's doing the same shtick he does.
But the writing on this was so bad. Nothing was explained. Nothing connected. It was very.
The jokes
confusing.
Aren't great.
The dialogue was not great. The jokes aren't great.
I mean, they're running out of the strip club, and Wills goes Wednesday bingo, and we're like,
we were like, what?
Did he just set up a date with the strip club?
And stripper? The other thing I said to you after we finished is it's hard for me to believe that all of these actors, some of whom are involved in very popular at the time television shows and doing very well. All of these actors read this script and were like, "Yeah, I'd like to do this. That's good.
Story. Let's do this."
Or were they hard up for film money?
I mean, look at the cast here. This is not your top notch. All of these actors. There's John Larroquette and Bronson Pinchot and
the lady from My So-Called Life,
which was before. Later. Yes, before.
Not much before, but yeah.
These are all but I don't know. I think anybody else. Yeah,
but
doing this.
None of them read it and were like, "This makes no sense." Or did they read a different version of it and got changed along the way, or in editing or something? I don't know.
It's possible. What did you think of Joel Zwick's directing?
I don't know anything about directing. I mean, season 6. Well, where this would be before season 6, but
there's parts of it that felt like a TV show, right? Some of those slapsticky comedy parts. But
I'll tell you what some of the critics said. Where was I?
Actually, if you look at the Amazon reviews, a lot of people really like this film.
On Amazon?
Yeah.
let's read some of those.
You want to read the Amazon reviews?
Okay, before we get to that, we have, according to, this is from Wikipedia now, Hal Hinson of the Washington Post said it appeared the film looks as if it was shot on an everything must go discount basis, and that Pinchot's character is utterly lacking in either charm or wit. Hinson said the dialogue and direction style were terrible, and that Larroquette was rehashing his character from Night Court. And then over at the New York Times, reviewer Janet Maslin said Joel Zwick's direction, quote, is so outstandingly maladroit that it squelches any possible humor. She also said the film featured too many car crashes and had such a pacing of such, quote, artificial liveliness from beginning to end that, quote, there's nothing in the last reel to distinguish it from the first. This is true. So that's what some of the critical reviews were.
User reviews, I was talking about Amazon, but on IMDb, a couple of the headlines, user reviews, 7 out of 10, still remains a favorite of mine. 8 out of 10, one of my faves in youth and still is today. 7 out of 10, funny, interesting, and heartwarming.
Heartwarming?
I don't know how it's heartwarming. 6 out of 10, a secondary movie, certainly, but fun and funny nonetheless. 6 out of 10, I expected the worst and came out smiling. 5 out of 10, there have been worse 80s comedies than this one. Maybe. Oh, there's a part where he's doing a pee-pee dance because somebody else has to go to the bathroom and he picks up things psychically or something. High quality comedy, 9 out of 10. Who wrote this? No, this is it's not a good movie, and I feel bad for everyone involved. Let's just say. Also, when they drive the car, why does all 3 of them sit in the front seat?
Yeah.
I thought that was odd. I don't even feel like it's a guilty pleasure, and I didn't even feel like the movie is so bad that it's fun to watch.
No.
It's just bad.
It's just bad. I wasn't angry watching it.
Yeah, that's
I
the
was
thing.
like kind of entertained, but I was like, what is
I was
this?
just mostly confused the whole time.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what is happening?
It wasn't so bad that it made me angry, but
It's not offensively bad. Okay, I'll give it that.
yeah,
there are movies that are like
it's just
offensively
like,
bad.
what is this? You're like bewildered that
Yes,
that it even got made and
It is
that people got paid to make this. You're like, what? How do?
This is what you call watching a train wreck, because that was my curiosity. I was like, how is this movie still going?
How did this sustain
get made?
people's
Oh my God.
careers and livelihoods?
Well, it really didn't. It bombed, and they had to go back to their TV jobs.
But it got made. It got that far. It got past that many quality checks and reviews that it got made.
It was actually released in theaters.
How?
Somehow.
I feel like if you just sit down and commit to writing the worst possible thing you can think of and just have fun with it, it'll get made. But if you try to make it good, then that's where things fall apart.
Mediocrity sells.
Make it bad on purpose and it'll become like a cult classic.
I mean, there is there's first act, second act, third act. There was resolution in the loosest manner. Everything, it's So if you want to watch a train wreck of a movie, would you recommend this to Bronson Pinchot fans?
Yeah, once, but only once, just to see him and to in case you have any explanations for us, to have somebody to talk about it with. But I would say watch it once and only once.
I want to know if that was his real hair, because it's really long. I don't know if he grew that out or if he was wearing a wig.
Very 80s mullety too.
Yeah.
In some ways, it's kind of fitting that we did this movie in the season break special just before season 7 because we're like
it's getting us in the mood for season 7. This is what if.
A lot of sighing. There's going to be a lot of sighing in season 7.
What is happening?
There was a lot of sighing in
All right,
this movie.
That's it for the review. I have a couple of listener comments before we wrap it up here. Back to Matt Crass.
Matt Crass, we love you, buddy.
He had a comment based on our episode of the last episode, see you in September, with the funny names, Dr. Ruthiki Nupatiki.
Oh, yeah.
And I think I said something about, I think Dr. Ruth is not alive. I was wrong. Because
Ruth
Matt Crass writes, FYI, Dr. Ruth is very much alive as I type this bingy. So I think she's like 95. Good for her. Good for her. And
I thought okay.
And then Whitney Smith posted our next appearance this summer of Bronson Pinchot will be on Netflix in Beverly Hills Cop 4, titled Beverly Hills Cop Axel F. Yes. They're making a 4th Beverly Hills Cop movie, and Eddie Murphy's back, and Hightower and Rosewood. Yes. He's wearing the same jacket. Joseph Gordon-Levitt is in this. Paul Reiser and
maybe that'll be our final
Bronson
season break special.
as Serge. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's in the trailer for like a second saying,
yeah, we spotted him. He looks a little like
he's blonde.
At quick glance, he looks a little like Matthew McConaughey.
What did you think of the trailer?
Not Matthew McConaughey.
You said Matthew McConaughey.
I meant Owen Wilson.
He does look like
Owen Wilson.
I thought the trailer kind of felt like like an 80s movie, like an 80s action movie, like the original Beverly Hills Cop.
How does Eddie Murphy not
amazing.
age
He's
at
like
all?
62. He looks amazing.
His face is like preserved like that forever. How he looks the same. Yeah, he looks very
This movie may not be good at all, but I'm excited.
We're going to see it.
I'm excited to see
opening weekend.
I love the first Beverly Hills Cop movie. The second one's not bad. And
I'm going to have to review and watch it.
And it's on Netflix, so it's just there. It's like it's not free, but it's free. And Serge is in. What is this pertaining? What does
Serge
this pertain?
In 2 as well?
He's in 3. He's in 1 and 3.
Oh, not in 2.
Not in 2. He comes back in 3.
How many are there?
There's
3?
4. Now there's going to be 4.
This will be the 4th. Okay.
3 was made a long time ago. I need to
watch all of them again.
2 is not bad. 3 I think is pretty bad. And that was made a long time ago.
Like worse than Second Sight bad?
Possibly. Maybe not. Maybe not that bad. Maybe not that bad.
Oh, we like bad movies sometimes.
Sometimes bad. So 3 came out in 94.
Yep.
And now they're making a 4th one 30 some odd years later. It's great. That's great. Anyways, that's it for this season break special, listener. Join us in our next episode. We will begin season 7. And it starts with Larry's bachelor party.
Yep, we're back to the shenanigans.
Oh, there better be some drinking and some boozing.
Oh, there's going to be some fun times. Larry's bachelor party.
And you know what? The whole time I'm watching season 7, I'm just going to be like, well, it's not going to be as bad as Second Sight. So something to look
we're going to really enjoy the bachelor party.
I think this was a good idea.
The best bachelor party ever.
In the meantime, listener, you can support the show if you haven't already. You can buy us a virtual coffee. We love everyone's support. It all goes back into the show, making
We're going to need some virtual coffees to get through season 7 and 8.
Yeah.
You can also help us get through by coming to visit us on all of our spaces. We've got our website, danceofjoypod.com. From there, you can press some buttons and go to all the places where the podcast is available. You can like, subscribe, rate, review, all that fun stuff. You can also press a button from the website and leave us a voice message and tell us your thoughts on Second Sight. Do you love it or hate it? Because people
definitely in the group, I need to know people's quick reviews.
We didn't pre-post about this movie, so we didn't give y'all a chance to chime in. But I want to know. Favorite part. Favorite part. Can you explain the plot?
What is happening in this movie?
Why were they in a sewer in the beginning?
Yes,
I don't know.
Like they're the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or something popping out of a large manhole cover that fit 3 adults. And what were they standing on?
I don't know. Anyway, you can leave us a voice message about it, or if you're better with typing out, if you're more of a writer by nature, you can send us an email at danceofjoypod@gmail.com or leave us a comment on any of our social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. But Imran, what's the most important thing our listeners should do?
Always. Wait, it was never. I don't look if you're.
What was that from?
That's Steve Martin's bit. Oh, you remember? We did that a long time ago.
Always.
Listen, if a cardinal gets kidnapped, call a psychic. That's what we've learned. I think that's what I've learned.
But they called the psychic for something else before the cardinal was ever kidnapped. We never figured out what. I mean, like something about the accident, but what did they want from the psychic? I don't understand.
To find the cardinal? No. It was, I don't know. Insurance fraud? Is that what they're trying to?
Yeah.
Also, John Larroquette just knocks out a dude with a gun like it's no problem. Yeah. That's believable.
Just grabs the gun.
No, the most important thing, listeners, share this show. Spread it around with people who love this movie so that we can
love this movie.
Crush their dreams because it's not good.
Or Perfect Strangers.
Somebody tell us why this movie is enjoyable. That's all I want to know. Share the show. That's it for this
somebody
week.
Tell me how I can be employed writing bad movies for
Write
Hollywood.
something. You can make it and put it out yourself
Write
now.
something intentionally bad, just
Yeah.
like as a joke, and
It'll
then
get
it'll
made.
become a cult classic. Listener, if you think that's a good idea, let me know. Should I do that? Should I
think
focus
that-
my efforts to writing a bad
I feel
film
like
on purpose?
People buy better things now, but there's some bad things out there that still get made. So that hasn't changed.
Hot Tub Time Machine, but
That's
that
a great
was
movie.
good. Yeah,
Oh, that's a great movie.
yeah, that one was good.
There's a great movie, but they are, yeah. Anyways, just put an hour.
Share our podcast with a friend. Word of mouth helps us out a lot, goes a long way, and we appreciate every bit of it. That's our show. Our season break special will be back soon to begin season 7. And now we are so happy.
Now we are so happy we do the dance of joy.
Hey, 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 hey.